Hello and welcome to the coming conflict on the Ides of March 2023. Some 2,093 years ago, events were set in motion that forever changed the course of history. And we're living through yet more historic times here in this year 2023. And we're going to get right into that. But first, before I start, please like, share, subscribe, all of that basic video producer stuff. If you're watching me on YouTube, especially, follow me on Rumble, Truth, Getter, Twitter. I'm doing my very level best to produce videos every day because I enjoy it. It's something I really enjoy. It's fun, and I get to talk about the news. But what I ask above everything else is leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. You hate it, you love it. One thing I would really like to know from you guys is, what do you think about my thumbnails? I think I'm doing a pretty good job with them. I've come a long way, learning how to use GIMP a little more. But yeah, with all that being said, let's get right into the end of the world news. That seems to be just coming at a quicker and quicker rate. So first I want to address something, and something I keep seeing people bring up, including our politicians, because I have not seen any congressperson address this financial collapse thing in a way that's serious. Like, we're being put on the hook to bail out wealthy, super wealthy, not only Americans, but people from other countries. We're going to be on the hook to reimburse the FDIC through higher fees at our banks. And I'm not seeing anybody in our political class seriously discussing this. It's disgusting. The only thing that I've heard, and I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, if I'm missing something, the only thing I'm seeing is people blaming this whole thing on wokeness. And I have this story pulled up from Infowars.com, and you can see my microphone. I'm a big Infowars fan. This isn't a dig at them. But this wokeness is terrible. It is a cancer, but it's not the reason that this is all happening. The reason that this is all happening is because of Biden's inflation, the Federal Reserve hiking rates, and bond yields soaring, meaning bond prices drop, which then all of these banks now have billions upon billions upon billions, if not trillions of dollars in unrealized losses. Then you get a bank run and they can't come up with the money to make the depositors whole. So I just wanted to get that off my chest first. Wokeness, while it is a cancer that we all hate here, I'm sure, it is not the reason that this happened. This happened specifically because of former Vice President Biden and his idiotic monetary policies, and I should say fiscal policies, and the monetary policies, and the lateness to enact these monetary policies by the Fed. So what's happening today? Well, this could be the big one. Credit Suisse, we talked about this yesterday and the day before. Credit Suisse is one of the globally systemically important banks, meaning if Credit Suisse goes down, it's not just a problem for people who have money in the bank at Credit Suisse. It's a worldwide problem. And here we see market price in central bank panic as Credit Suisse default risk soars. Okay? A Credit Suisse defaulting would be an apocalyptic event. And just hear me out with these headlines real quick, because I want to make a point about all this. Like, is this the apocalypse, or is this the cleansing fire that we need? Because I am morally having a hard time making that decision myself. But we'll get to that. Credit Suisse CDS explodes, reportedly urge the Swiss National Bank show of confidence. So basically what the Credit Suisse has been trying to do is they're going to the Saudis, they're going to the Swiss National Bank, and they're trying to get them to release some sort of statement saying that they're confident in Credit Suisse, and it doesn't seem to be happening. Same thing. The Saudis have completely pledged to stop helping Credit Suisse go under. So there is the question of, why is this happening? Is this a targeted, is this the antelope in the herd that's falling behind, and this is the one that the cheetah is going to come and kill? I don't know. Is it targeted? I don't know. But it seems like the players that are involved here don't really have any of our interests at heart. I feel like this is engineered. Um, and speaking of engineered, I would really recommend you guys all go over and watch Mike from Rethinking the Dollar. Him, myself, and Andre the Broke Capitalist. We always do a show. We're going to be doing one tonight. I think at 7:30, unless something changed. But Mike has been doing an amazing job of laying out exactly what's happening, what's going on, and he's in the same mindset of me as this is on purpose. And I also agree with him that once these bank failures start to cascade, there's going to be some sort of staged cyber attack, consolidate power into the Fed, because this can never happen again. But we've been over that. So yeah, Credit Suisse is going down. If we look at their stock price today, where is it? They stopped trading. Here we go. They're down 25% on the day. We also have Bank of America down 2.34%. First Republic, that was the bank that everybody was expecting to go under next. JP Morgan gave them access to like $70 billion. There's also the Fed bailout scheme that they're doing now, where we've been over this before, but Moody's downgraded them to junk, the same way Moody's downgraded the entire American banking sector to negative. Okay, now with all that out of the way, this is the question I have for all of you guys. Do you feel scared or do you feel happy? And if you feel happy, do you feel guilty for being happy? Because this is my theory of the case. These banks, the Federal Reserve, and everything that happened after 1913 on Jekyll Island, when the Federal Reserve was concocted, all of those events that have led up to now have been robbing us of our birthright in this country, in this beautiful country of America. From 1913 onward, every dollar they printed has been a theft. It's been stealing from us, for stealing from our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and so on and so forth. And I personally think our founding fathers would just be appalled right now, because our founding fathers had a huge respect for the Roman Empire, the Roman Republic, and they modeled a lot of the system that we live in today around the Roman Republic. With that being said, it seems to be we are suffering the same fate as the Roman Republic. As the Roman Republic fell because of Julius Caesar being murdered and then some other things, and then the Roman Empire emerged, and then they slowly debased their currency and expanded, and just the money ran out. They debased their currency to no silver in I think it's the denarius, and they collapsed. And what are we doing right now? We're debasing our currency. We're expanding our footprint worldwide. It seems to me that we're following in the footsteps of the Roman Empire. And I know I'm not a history buff. I mean, I'm very interested in history. I'm knowledgeable in history. But like I said about finances, I know just enough to get myself in trouble. So I'm not going to try to go down long rabbit holes about historical events. But I will say that just from a cursory glance, it seems like we are in a situation that our founding fathers tried to structure the system to prevent. The central bank idea, in and of itself, in the days of our founding fathers, was ludicrous. It wasn't something they liked very much. In our Constitution, they laid out specifically that all of our money, the money in our country, shall be in gold and silver. But on that fateful night in 1913 on Jekyll Island, the elite decided that they knew better than us, and from that day forward, they have robbed us. They have robbed MAGA. They have robbed populists. They have robbed your grandma down the street and the little kid that is just learning how to ride his bike that lives next door. They've robbed each and every one of us, and they've been doing it plain as day, and they don't even care that we know. So how long can this go on? Is it better that it collapses? Right now, let's pull the Band-Aid off and let's figure it out. Because if I'm not mistaken, in 1932, during the Great Depression, There was no stimulus program. Strong men rolled up their sleeves and they did what they had to do. And strong women raised their family to be frugal, to work hard, and we got out of it. World War II happened. That helped, of course. But then those men who went off and fought in World War II came home and they did great things. So where are we going to be at the end of this? Are we going to be the generation that just says, you know what, this is too hard. This freedom thing, this republic that was bequeathed to us, the strong men that hold us up, whose ghosts that we live in the shadow of, are we going to be the generation that says, you know what, let's try socialism. Let's try communism. The Chinese seem to have a good system over there. Or are we going to be the generation that says, not ever again, and we take back our country from the elites that have robbed us? And that's where I have this moral quandary. Do I want to see it burn, or should we try to save it? Because any of you who are watching this video are probably much more well-informed than the normie neighbor you have. And that normie neighbor you have didn't do anything except for trust a bank. So why should they lose everything? We live in very different times than 1776. We live in very different times than the fall of the Roman Republic. So there is a moral question. There's a moral hazard, you could say. The same moral hazard that was introduced by the FDIC and the Federal Reserve just a few days ago when they decided to make all depositors, all $19 trillion worth of deposits in the United States whole. Well, now what? Now what? Now that Credit Suisse is going down, or is the Federal Reserve going to continue to loan them money overnight like they've been doing? What's going to happen? Because we have a banking crisis on both sides of the Atlantic. At what point do we as a society come together and say, no more, let it collapse? It's going to be hard. It's going to be real hard. But I think personally, that's what's going to be best for everybody. Because if we don't get things together here, do you think it's not going to spiral out of control into a world war as everybody swoops in to pick at the carcass of America? It's already happening. Let me find the story. Here we go. Hold on a second. Russia, we talked about this. So Russia decided to tag one of our Reaper drones over the Black Sea and down it. And I can't blame the Russians. I don't think that I'm sickened that we don't have leadership strong enough to prevent them from doing this just by the simple being strong. That sickens me. But I can't blame Russia for knocking down one of our drones as we're provoking what could be a world war. So now Russia is scrambling to go get this drone out of the water just as we are. Could that be what sparks a direct confrontation instead of a de facto confrontation? Could this be the event? And while at home we're all falling apart, could this be the best time for these neocons and war pigs in Washington to finally just spark things off? Remember how I just said, after the Great Depression, World War II is what pulled us out of it. Well, could this be the excuse that the neocon elite need to take us into direct conflict with Russia? This banking crisis that is now spread across the Atlantic to Europe, who is, the rest of NATO, basically. Well, Lindsey Graham seems to think so. Lindsey Graham, Sean Hannity's gay lover, in my opinion, allegedly. Lindsey Graham says the U.S. should start shooting down Russian planes. Well, congratulations, Senator Graham. Congratulations. You get yet another opportunity to call for the death of men and women. American men and women who will be sent off to fight your senseless frickin' war. Not your children, not your grandchildren, Senator. It's going to be the children and grandchildren of MAGA. of the forgotten man in East Palestine. Those are going to be the people that get shipped off to fight your war. But let me ask you, Senator, do you think you have a lot of trust capital built up with the American people? After what happened in 2020, after the Senate stood down as Donald Trump was stabbed, just like Julius Caesar. The Senate that pledged to help Trump, that was supposed to be an investigation. Remember all that? And then a protest gets provoked into a riot. And now everybody was too scared to do their job and call for that investigation into what clearly seems to be a lot of shenanigans. So just like Caesar, he was betrayed by his own senators who vowed to support and help him in a legitimate contest to a very illegitimate process. And now we're living with the results of that day. We have former Vice President Joe Potato Head Biden at the helm. And is your life materially better? No. I'm gonna answer that for you. I know it's not. Are you worrying about things that you never thought you would have to worry about? I'm going to guess and say you probably are. How many of you out there that are watching this, since former Vice President Biden took the White House, how many of you out there are learning about things you've never had to worry about before, simply because you are unsure? Is your trust higher or lower for the system? And with that, do you think it is time to let these elites reap what they have sown and no longer participate? We are the great unwashed, but we have all of the power. We have all of the power. We can just say, no more. We're not participating anymore. We could take all of our money and we could put it into gold and silver. Look at gold. Look at gold. Since the day before Silicon Valley Bank collapsed to now, it's almost over $100 an ounce up. Look at silver. Almost $2 an ounce up. Percentage-wise, that's huge. So that alone should give you confidence that there's an alternative to this economic misery that we've been put in. I'm not a financial advisor. All I can say is I would much rather have pieces of metal in my hand than bills with dead presidents, great men who did great things, their faces put on this debt instrument that has enslaved us. The next time you look at George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, Lincoln on one of your bills, ask yourself, how would they feel if they knew their faces were being used to enslave us with debt, oppress us with a system that is designed to make the rich rich and the poor poor? And I'm not talking about capitalism. I'm talking about fiat currency. This whole thing gets me so worked up. But you know what? There's always hope, because this is America. And I truly believe that most of us, when push comes to shove, will do the right thing. I know COVID and the lockdowns kind of proved otherwise, but I think at this point, things have spiraled so quickly into chaos that I think that most of us at this point will do the right thing when the time comes to be strong, to be men, to be Americans. And that gives me hope. As far as the banking system and this fiat trap that we've been put in, I'll leave that one up to you. Think about it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Because in the information war, knowledge is power, but awareness is victory. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. Like, share, subscribe, retweet this. Help me get this out into the internet world. I really appreciate it. I will talk to you guys tomorrow.